The Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.
Welcome back, everybody, to this latest episode of Cherry Picking here on Up the Cherries in all departments. Of course, it wouldn't be cherry picking if I didn't have the main man next to me, Mr. Matthew Harrison. How you doing, Matt?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, looking forward to this bumper pack show.
Excellent. Are you not bloody cold in your shirt? Because I think it's absolutely freezing. I've got the heating on.
Yeah, I'm quite warm in here. This is quite a nice little snug room in the house. To be fair, I'm not ever really cold in the house. I mean, I don't feel the cold sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I'm quite nice and warm actually. Quite toasty. Thank you. Thank you
Fair
for
enough.
asking.
That's all right. No problem at all. I am bloody freezing, and I've got the radiator next to me. I'll tell you what, less about that. Here's a bit about our sponsors, Dental on the Banks. Find out about them, visit dentalonthebanks.co.uk. So, tell you what is up on cherry picking this week? Let's find out. So, it's our weekly game, Guess a Cherry. Can you guess it? How many of you guessed so far right this year? See if you can guess this one. Of course, the comeback kings strike again. Dango scores the late winner. We're also going to be discussing Marcus Senesi and Marcus Tavernier's injuries and their layoffs ahead of our game against West Ham on Monday night. We're going to be discussing Kepa's stance on his long-term future. We're also going to be talking about AFC Bournemouth being linked to an ex-Everton star. Celtic are also in the hunt, though. Max Aarons is attracting interest. Would you sell him? Would you keep him? Let us know in the comments. And we're also going to be discussing Hamed Traore, who, of course, is on loan at Auxerre in France. Let us know in the comments as well if you would keep him. So there we go. Another bumper packed episode for you. But I tell you what, let's start where we normally start off, which is our normal guessing game. Guess the cherry. And let's have a look who it might be. So, do you want to take it away, Matt?
Yeah. Born in, is that how do you pronounce
Vanez. Vanez.
Vanez, oh, see.
Yes.
Born in Vanez in France in 1981. Joined the Cherries from Leicester City. He scored 27 times in 69 Bournemouth appearances. Scored a hat-trick when the Cherries beat Doncaster 5-0. Was included in the Brittany national football squad and scored against Mali after coming off the bench in the 69th minute in 2013.
Who is he? There we go. There we go. I think I've got an idea, but it's all up to you. You can guess in the comments below. And do you know what? When I went over to France, I didn't realise. I stayed in a place called Port de Vanves. I said that quite well, didn't I? I thought port actually meant it was by some sort of body of water. No, it doesn't. It means door to. There you go. You learn something new every day.
I was just going to say, yeah, you learn something new every day.
Yeah, I didn't know that until the guy on the train told me where I was going, and I was completely baffled, But it's easy when you know how. But I tell you what, let's talk about. Let's stop talking about a trip to France. Let's talk about a trip to Ipswich. And the comeback Kings striking again. The Tractor Boys failed to pick off the Cherries as Unal and Dango score late. And there is Dango celebrating. What a picture that is. That's brilliant, that picture. So, Ipswich were on track for their first home Premier League win since 2002, when the clock ticked into the 87th minute, thanks to Connor Chaplin's first half strike. But Bournemouth, who came on strong in the second half, refused to give up and broke the hearts of the home side, thanks to the efforts of two players who came off the bench. Ipswich's best chances had come in the first half when Chaplin showed composure to net the opener, his first Premier League goal, and Cameron Burgess put a header onto the roof of the net. Bournemouth's Marcus Tavernier spurned their best two early chances when he failed to make contact from just a yard out and then struck the post. This is from BBC Sport. The visitors came out with intent after the break, but were again found wanting until the dramatic finale, with Anton Semenyo, Evan Nilsson, Justin Kluivert and Lewis Cook unable to strike with enough accuracy. It looked like Ipswich were going to hang on for all 3 points until Unal beat Burgess to the ball at the far post for the equaliser. Even with a point still on the table, Ipswich's heads seemed to drop and Bournemouth went all out. A lovely passing move was finished off by Dango Ouattara after David Brooks' shot was parried into his path. Victory moved Bournemouth up to 8th and just 3 points shy of 4th place Manchester City, whilst Ipswich remained 18th and 4 points adrift of safety. So that is from the BBC Sport. And is Dango the perfect weapon to have on the Cherries bench? I'll hand it over to you, Matt.
Yeah, well, obviously, my thoughts on Dango, as I've said before, for me, he is the perfect player to come off the bench.
Yeah,
I think he adds something to the game, gives you something different to what the likes of Tabs gives you, and Brooks and Kluivert, Semenyo. He gives you something different, and I think I'm sure he would really, really like to be in that starting 11 every game. But for me, I think he's just the perfect player to bring on with sort of like 20 25 minutes to go, because I feel that he can definitely change a game, and he created the assist and then scored the winner for us. So I mean, really, when you look at it, that's pretty much the perfect substitution that the manager could have made. So yeah, for me, I think I don't know about yourself, but I kind of think he's becoming a little bit of a cult hero now.
Yeah.
He's coming into that kind of status, that everybody likes a good substitute that can come on and change a game, get a goal. Everybody loves that bit of excitement, and that's what Dango brings us. So yeah, for me, I think he is the perfect weapon on the bench. He's a great asset to have as a manager, knowing that you can turn to him to, and he's made impact in plenty of games where he's come off on the bench. I know the Spurs game, he came on and he was a bit of a handful. I know he put a couple over the bar, but he's not going to score every game. But
Yeah.
he's definitely an asset and a handful when he comes on. And yeah, for me, if I was the manager, great weapon to have on the bench as an alternative.
I absolutely love Dango. And it's such a shame he's come under a bit of criticism from some of the Bournemouth fans, as people will know who support this football club. But he has come under some criticism. I think some of that criticism is justified, because sometimes his passing is a little bit wayward.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
yeah,
but
yeah,
what he does do. Again, he's another player, a bit like Ryan Christie, a bit like all of them, to be honest. It's crazy that we say this nowadays, but gives 110%. But he's one of those players that also has that moment of brilliance, that
yeah,
moment which he surprises everybody. Yeah, he's not perfect. Let's be honest, if he was perfect, he probably wouldn't be playing in a Bournemouth shirt. But I think he has got so much. He can pull something out the bag. He can pull something out the bag. And I think, that's what I love about him. He just surprises people. Look at, like against Spurs. Against Spurs, of course, away from home under Gary O'Neill a couple of years back. Bloody hell. He just he can turn a game on its head all of a sudden. And yeah, he's a great weapon. And I was speaking to a West Ham fan, of course, we're playing them, of course, Monday night. And one thing that I made a big point of is that Andoni Iraola has got the substitutes to really change games. And
yeah,
one of those is this man.
yeah.
He can spin a game and it all makes sense. So yeah, I absolutely love Dango. Lovely, lovely guy as well, really down to earth. Works his heart out. So yeah, I have not got a bad word to say about him myself.
No, I mean, I totally agree with you. And like I say, it's a great option to have, isn't it? And I mean, let's have a quick look at his stats.
Yeah,
His stats are from just this season. I mean, there's his total stats in the Premier League at the bottom there, where he's 61 appearances, 4 goals, 7 assists. But
pretty good.
yeah, I mean, this season, obviously, considering his 12 appearances, he's had 4 in the starting 11.
Yeah,
And 8 as substitute. He missed 1 week injured. But I mean, from 8 appearances off the bench, a couple of assists and a couple of goals is not a bad return, really.
would would you say he is one of these players now, who are better just coming off the bench? In the starting lineup, maybe it's not really, his best position, but you bring him off the bench, he changes things when people are getting a little bit leggy on the other side. And he has so much of an impact. Do you think he's more of an impact player than the starting 11?
In my opinion, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. He's probably not liking that tag. I'm sure he wants to be, Bournemouth's number 1 starter, and
Yeah.
rightly so. But when you look at the competition that's in the squad, which is fantastic, he's contributing so much by coming on as a substitute. I know it's a very selfish thing to say from probably like a manager's perspective, but yeah, 100%. He is, for me, he is fantastic at coming off the bench, and that is what I would, continue to do with him. But yeah, I mean, the game when he come on, I just thought that soon as he created that equaliser on Sunday, I
Yeah.
thought to myself, we're going to win this.
Hmm.
And the first half, was pretty dire from our perspective.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Second
Awful.
half, obviously from the off, we had a lot more of the ball. But then when he came on and you now come on, it was, for me, I thought, as soon as we had that equaliser, I thought, we're going to go for this and we're going to win this. And it's not the first time this season, obviously, that we've made a comeback. Obviously, the most exciting comeback, obviously, was
Yeah.
the Everton game. But it's good to see that again, like I've said plenty of times this season, we don't know that when we're beaten.
Hmm.
And away from home, Ipswich, difficult place to go. They're 1-0 up. They're fighting. I didn't think they were too bad in the first. I thought they were quite decent. But
Yeah.
it's great to be able to change things, bring players on like Dango, and then go and win the game when you're 1-0 down for so long. I mean, what was the equaliser? 84th, 85th minute, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe it was even later. I tried to work it out, and I think it was probably a similar sort of time remaining as against Everton. I might be wrong. I might be wrong in that without checking it, moment to moment, which, I'm sure somebody will stick it in the comments anyway. But, it was a similar sort of time as to that Everton game. And it's great that we can spin it round. The only thing that I would say about this game is that we shouldn't have really put ourselves in that position in the first place. We knew what Ipswich were. We know what Everton are before we played them. And they're two sides that will get in your face. They make it difficult for you, and they did make it difficult for us. And maybe that's possibly our Achilles heel at this moment in time, because playing football, pretty football, we've got down to a T now. We're dictating games. We're not actually, and I don't think we've ever been in this position where we determine, what way we want to play the game. We
Yeah,
determine, and when Eddie was in charge, of course, we had sometimes adapt. We had to make it difficult for teams because personnel, player to player. This no disrespect to the players that were back then and got us into the Premier League the first time round. We probably were a bit less equipped than some of the sides. Well, of course, most of the sides, that were in the Premier League that first season, but we did it well. That's what Ipswich are trying to do, is do what we were doing back in 2015, 2016. I don't think they're doing it as successfully as ourselves, but we're able to now impose our game, impose our style, impose what we want to do on other teams who play pretty football. It's only when you come up against the likes of Ipswich or Everton where they're like, right, okay, we're going to be tough today. We're going to get in your face. We're going to make it really, really awkward for you. And fair play to them. They did that. Would you agree?
yeah, totally agree. Yeah, we're definitely more in a position now where we can dictate games, and that's obviously a good sign and shows progression. And like you say, with how we were playing under Eddie, we had to make games difficult for sides coming down to Dean Court or when we went away. But now it's nice to be in a position where we can start to dictate games and, like you say, can take control of the games and have it more in our hands. To be fair, and that second half against Ipswich, yeah, definitely showed that.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, this is what the main man said, Andoni Iraola. He is becoming more and more and more a hero. And I saw an interesting thing the other day. Of course, we've discussed this before. We'll wait until afterwards to answer it. But people saying Andoni or Eddie, who's more of a legend? I've got my own theories, but at the end of the day, we'll come to that in a second. But Andoni said to BBC Match of the Day after our victory against Ipswich, we definitely didn't deserve to lose. We had great chances, but just failed to take them, especially in the first half. Even in the second half, we had momentum from the beginning. You start to think it's not your day, but luckily we took them in the end. On the impact from the bench, and Donny said, the subs gave us the end product that we were missing. We were arriving in the right places, but just not finishing. They finished well. We were almost in desperation mode at that point. We didn't have much structure, and it was about trying to get something. And whether he is looking at the top four, Andoni said, top four in the Premier League. Can't believe this. I don't think we have to look at standings. It's too early. The most important thing is trying to win, and then we see how many points we can get by the midway point. Bloody hell. We're talking top four. Right, I'll ask you the question now. Based on what we have seen, of course, Eddie Howe's got us to this stage, of course, getting us through the league. So, it's not a direct comparison, but Premier League, let's base it on Premier League. Eddie or Andoni, or is it too difficult to answer?
Can't compare yet, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I mean, and I can't just look at it from a Premier League perspective. When you mention the name, Eddie Howe is
he's
we all
Messiah.
know who he is. He's the legend. He
Yeah.
is the Messiah. However people want to describe him. But Iriola does have that opportunity to get himself to that kind of historical status. If we do, I know we're talking about the dizzy heights of Europe, and my opinion on it is that I don't want to get carried away, and I think that what we would discuss next week in terms of the Christmas fixtures and things like that, if we can get through that period and we pick up the points, it could start to become a real opportunity.
Yeah.
I still don't want to get carried away myself on that side of things at the minute, because anything is possible, but I don't want to get carried away on that yet. But if he was to do that and achieve that, or even takes to a cup final, he's definitely got the chance to build himself up to that level. But at the moment, me, and I love Iriola. I've loved him since he's come in. I love his style of play. I love his, high pressing football. I just love it. I think he's a great coach, great manager. But at the moment, I can't say that they're on the same level personally. But he's got every opportunity to be in the same category. Absolutely.
We're going to the new camp next year.
Yeah, I think top four is yeah. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. You can't rule it out, but yeah, it's gonna need a hell of a Christmas period and beyond to achieve that.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm
joking. I'm joking. It'd be great to even see, us go to the back end of Moldova, to be fair.
Can't rule it out. Can't rule it out.
No, exactly.
And like I say, people used to say about little old Bournemouth never get to the Premier League, and look what happened. You can't say little old Bournemouth will never get to the Champions League, can you? Because it's who knows. But I think that's a little bit way forward. Let's see where we are come March, and then maybe we can get a bit more excited.
Going to Real Madrid, not just on a tour, to actually see the mighty Cherries there. And yeah, it's not a jolly boys out. Well, it will end up being a jolly boys outing as well, but we got to get there first. Right. Let's not get carried away. Let's not start dreaming. Yeah. Looking forward to that. Moving swiftly on.
Well, this could have a little bit of a spanner in the works, but
yes. Yeah, so Marcus Tavernier injured his hamstring and he's set to spend some time on the sidelines. And Marcus Senesi has had surgery on his quadriceps and will be out for months. Yeah, this is a double blow, isn't it? And you know what we was talking about Dango just a moment ago, being an impact player off the bench. I think he might have to come into the starting 11 regardless because of this. Um, Marcus Tavernier, let's start off with him. Scored some spectacular goals. He works his backside off. He's a constant threat. I know some people have had a bit of a whinge about him, but then again, football fans are fickle. But I think he's a massive loss.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Obviously, he's can play in behind the front man. He plays wide.
Mm,
He's creative. Obviously, we sit with his mum
yes,
when she comes down, and she's lovely.
yeah, she
Really
is.
supportive of both Marcus and James. And but yeah, a player who on his day on top form is a massive asset in terms of attacking is going to be a great loss, and there's also a loss to Iriola's options. But yeah, like you say, as we've just discussed, is Dango our secret weapon? Is this where he comes into the side now and tries and cements his own place in the starting 11? There is, even though it's a blow, we still have options. We've got Brooksy. Sinisterra is still injured at the minute, unfortunately. Not too sure when he's due back, but there is still some options there. But yeah, Tavs is going to be a massive loss. Senesi, love Senesi. He's one of my favourite
Yeah,
players. I love how him and Zabane complement each other. I think they're a good partnership. But again, we do have a bit of depth in the squad, and obviously Dean Howson's come in and done a fantastic job since he's been in.
yeah.
So confidence there with the man stepping into his shoes, but yeah, a big loss. They do say that the club's going to support him through this injury. Obviously, I was just reading on the Echo briefly about it. And they said that the 27-year-old Argentine will now be supported by the club for a rehabilitation process in the months to come. So, will we see him in a Bournemouth shirt again this season? With the way you read that kind of comment,
Mm.
it's looking debatable, isn't it? So long term, in terms of when especially with this Christmas period coming up, when you need your depth in squad, in terms of defensively, this is going to be a massive, massive loss for us.
Yeah, completely agree. And this is going to be the difficulty, if we do end up getting European football at one point, because we do need that little bit of strength in depth. I wonder if that's why we have got James Hill in the background. We're keeping hold of him because he's a great player. He's James Hill is a really, really good player.
Yeah,
He works really, really hard. But secondly, if we are going to be playing Saturday, Thursday, or Saturday, Wednesday, or whenever, Champions League, Europa League, the Europa Conference League don't really make that much sense to me because it's now a league format where you don't play the same team twice. You play, isn't it four? It's all seeded. So we'll probably be bottom seeds because we've never been in European football before. That's where Aston Villa, I believe, were. So we'll get some tough games. And of course, that's going to take a bit out of players. So, of course, that strength in depth is needed. But Dean Howson, I think, has been excellent. And it's difficult to see. I absolutely love Senesi, like I think it's difficult to see, and it's a real headache, and it's a nice headache to have, where Senesi comes back into the side if these two players are playing so well. The only thing that might dictate it is these two players are going to have to, Zabanier and Howson are going to be playing a lot and lot of games over this Christmas period. If one of them gets injured, then if Senesi does make a comeback before time, then he might come back in. Otherwise, we'll have to look at the other options as well.
Well, from the way you read, with
Mm,
what they're saying about the injury, I don't think he's going to be back anytime soon. So
no.
if we do get an injury to one of the other two, obviously James Hill's going to have to step up, or unless they've got a loan recall on Chris Mepham, I'm
Mm,
not sure. But yeah, fingers crossed that Sparnier and Dino stay fit and they forge
yeah,
a good partnership, which they've started to do already.
yeah,
And it'd be a case that when he is fit again, Marcus Senesi, it's going to be a great headache again for the manager. But for now, it doesn't look very promising that Senesi is going to be back
mm,
anytime soon. But wish him all the best because he's a great
yeah,
player. Love watching him. Love his determination. Love him in the tackle. So obviously, he's a key player that we want to have fit. So yeah, let's wish both of those players all the best and hope they can get fit ASAP.
yeah. Most definitely, and fingers crossed. And yeah, we wish Marcus Senesi all the very, very best, and hopefully he'll be back in a Bournemouth shirt before long. But let's talk about Kepa, and another man that has been very, very divided the fan base a little bit. Kepa Azarabanga. I don't know if I butcher his name all the time, but Azabalaga, I think it's Azabalaga. His stance on permanent Chelsea exit revealed amid AFC Bournemouth loan. So let's have a little look at this. So Kepa's stance on potential permanent exit from Chelsea has been revealed ahead of the January window, according to reports. The 30-year-old is currently on a season-long loan at AFC Bournemouth after the Cherries allowed Neto to join Arsenal in a temporary switch. Chelsea had no problem with offloading Kepa, with Enzo Maresca favouring Robert Sanchez and Philip Jorgensen as his two goalkeepers. Spain international keeper Kepa, who cost Chelsea a record 71.6 million in 2018. Bloody hell. That was a lot of money back then. It's still a lot of money now. He's under contract at Stamford Bridge until the summer of 2026. But he does not seem to have much of a future in West London, with Chelsea also sent him out on loan to Real Madrid last season, as we all know. We know what happened there. Reports in Spain indicate Bournemouth are interested in a permanent deal for Kepa, who has played 10 games for Andoni Iraola's side to date, helping them climb to their impressive current position of 8th in the top flight. According to Spanish outlet Marca, though Kepa does not currently want a permanent move to Bournemouth and wishes to return to Chelsea at the end of his loan spell. It is currently thought to be difficult for Bournemouth to land Kepa permanently, but it is not beyond the realms of possibility, with Cherries boss Andoni Iraola hoping to change the mind of his fellow Spaniard. Speaking earlier this season when Bournemouth beat Arsenal 2-0 at the Vitality Stadium, Kepa declared that Iraola was one of the best managers in the entire Premier League. Yep, I do agree with that. He's one of the best coaches in the league, and this is the strongest league, which says a lot about him, Kepa said. You have a mix of coaches and a mix of styles in the Premier League, but the team is very much in tune with what the coach wants, and we are lucky to have a manager like him. I'm very proud to be part of this team, and for our people who came to see us play against Arsenal, they can see our spirit, and we gave them a beautiful evening. According to reports, Kepa took a 50% wage cut when he moved to Bournemouth on loan in August. Right, okay. Well, let's discuss that. Um, Firstly, this is all press talk. So,
Mm.
um, the first thing is, do we believe this is true, or do we believe that this might be something that has been fabricated, if not by some journalist in a darkened room, by Kepa's agent, maybe trying to persuade either more suitors or maybe trying to get a bidding war going to get his man and, of course, himself the most money.
Yeah, I mean you can't rule that out. I think from our perspective,
Mm,
um, it wouldn't surprise me if the manager is interested in signing him permanently. I think he's brought him in for a reason. And even though I have been critical of Kepa, I know a lot of the support have been critical of him as well at times. He is a decent keeper. There was that time, obviously, when he had a couple of games out with that little niggle that, Trav's come in and did a fantastic job. And I think if circumstances had been different, then Trav's would have obviously continued in that place. But obviously, due to his deal, he has to play. I think this is probably more of a question possibly for maybe towards the end of the season from our perspective. Obviously, let's see where we finish. I mean, if we finish in a European place, then it might be a case that, Kepa's, going to possibly may consider, whether to come here permanently, if the manager wants to. But then I read something else the other day that Chelsea are willing to accept £15 million for him from Bournemouth. So there's a lot, and then you read other things where they're saying that Chelsea don't want him back. He's one of the first ones they want to get off the playing books in the summer. So like you say, there's a lot of paper talk, a lot of speculation. I think probably from the manager's perspective, he is probably someone he would like to sign. I think personally. Great shot stopper there. He is good for his feet with his feet, but like we know, sometimes we say he's got a mistake in him. But then I suppose at times you can say what keeper hasn't. But I think this is something that's possibly there's probably stuff being chucked into the rumour mill. We know what this time of year is like coming up towards Christmas. Transfer windows opening. Agents like to do their stuff. So who knows? I mean, I think it's a difficult one for us to answer. But in terms of, if he wants to go back to Chelsea, I can see that, why he would want to go back there. Things are on the up again at Chelsea. I don't think he's part of the Chelsea manager's plans, from what you read in the press. So it'd be interesting to see where his career pans out at the end of this loan deal, whether it's with Bournemouth or not. But I do think it's going to be at a different club to Chelsea.
I think I can't see him staying at Chelsea. What really is playing on my mind here, though, is what happens to Mark Travers. I think Travers has, done fantastically well this football club. His confidence probably took a bit of a battering after that 9-0 thrashing that unfortunately we witnessed a couple of years back. But
he's much stronger than that now.
Oh gosh, yeah. To be honest, I think that was a one-off, and I think Scott Parker put him under so much pressure because we sat so fucking deep.
Unfortunately, a goalkeeper lets goals in. People can't hold him responsible for that.
No, I don't.
That's so long ago now. He's matured. When he come in for Kepa this season, I thought those performances he put in were awesome. And if I was the manager, it would have been hard to drop him. But I mean, Trav's future, me personally, I think he could be the number one now. I've always said for a long time that he's probably not ready, but I think now he is. But I mean, it all depends, doesn't it? Travers' future, is not really up for discussion until I suppose they make a decision, or whether they sell Kepa or whether they purchased Kepa full time or what. I mean, I think if Kepa's ambitious, he might want to go back to Chelsea, fight for his place, like it's being rumoured, and there's so many rumours surrounding this. It's hard to tell, but the outcome of this eventually will probably have some impact on where what Travs wants to do. He should be a number one somewhere. whether that's in the Premier League or the Championship. That's for other people to decide and for him to decide. But no, definitely he should be a number one now. But yeah, a long way off that, I think, in terms of what's going to happen with his future anyway.
Yeah, I think so. I'm in agreement. I think Travis should be number one. I don't think he'll want to play second fiddle to Kepa. I think Kepa, my biggest reservation sometimes with him is that he does do some strange stuff against Arsenal. Um, you know, he went on a little bit of this wander and nearly got caught out. And to be honest, to stop the subsequent shot, he did very, very well. But again, it wasn't a position that he needs to put himself in. And I think his positioning in goal is sometimes a little bit questionable. Whereas Travers, as we saw, from that shot by Erling Haaland against Manchester City, that really won us the 3 points, in the end. So, it's a difficult one for me to answer at this moment in time, but I think this is probably agent talk. I don't think, a journalist shouldn't really be making stuff up, but I still do think they do. But I think this is agent talk trying to whip up a little bit of frenzy to actually get suitors who want to sign him, because look at what he did at Real Madrid. That would be interesting to find out what Real Madrid fans actually really feel of, about Kepa. But that's a subject for another day. I tell you what, we'll have to look into that. But I tell you what, let's talk about a Everton star. And Celtic are also interested. So this is from Sport Witness. Brendan Rodgers could see Celtic join AFC Bournemouth in chasing Hertha Berlin's John Joe Kenny in the winter market. Of course, he was at Everton. That's according to this week's edition of Sport Bild, and the German magazine covers the interest shown by Celtic and Bournemouth in the right back. The Liverpool-born defender previously had a loan spell at Celtic in 2021 when he was at Everton. He joined the German club after his contract with the Toffees expired in 2022 and signed a contract until 2025. Hertha Berlin, who are second in the second division in Germany, and the 27-year-old wants to play in the top flight, which both Celtic and Bournemouth can offer. The report further states that the Scottish champions are keen on signing him, while Andoni Iraola's side have included the fullback in their target list. It may be possible that Celtic are ahead of the Cherries in the chase for the defender. With just over 6 months left on his deal, Hertha Berlin are in favour of his sale because they urgently need funds. Sport Bild state Kenny is valued at €2.3 million, and this should certainly be affordable for both Brendan Rodgers' side and Bournemouth. It's an
Well,
interesting one, this, for me.
I think before we discuss this one, it might be a good idea to discuss to go through the next one.
I was just about to say that, actually.
Kind of relates, I think, from what's coming out.
Right, I'll tell you what, let's bring up the next one then. And Michael Carrick is keen on Max loan to buy swoop. Middlesbrough head coach Michael Carrick should be preparing a loan to buy January move for Bournemouth defender Max Aarons. Borough are approaching the halfway point of the season as one of the Championship's leading promotion contenders so far, as the Teessiders look to end what will be an 8-year exile from the Premier League this term. So it continues, and this is from Football League World. The 24-year-old secured a move to Bournemouth in August 2023, signing for the Cherries from Norwich City in a deal worth a reported $7 million, rising to $12 million. It was a move that came off the back of yet another highly impressive season at Carrow Road, as the former England youth international made 48 total appearances for the Canaries in 2022-23. However, since making the switch to the Vitality Stadium, Aarons has found regular game time difficult to come by, and as of match day 15 in the Premier League, has made just one appearance in a 15-minute cameo off the bench versus Brighton in late November. Surely then, the thought of seeking an escape route will eventually cross his mind if it hasn't already, and he's proven himself to be a player that has bags of potential and ability to enjoy a highly successful career. Carrick loves to implement attacking fullbacks in his system. Ryan Giles, Lucas Engel, Alex Bangura, Ailing, and Borges are all examples of this, and Aaron certainly fits that profile. Aaron's is a high energy and skillful right back who has the battery to charge up and down the flank for the full 90 minutes. He's a perfect match for what Carrick wants in a fullback. Therefore, with Middlesbrough in need of some long-term security at right back, as well as an injection of added quality not to be frowned at in his current side, the Borough boss should be eyeing up a potential loan with the view to a permanent deal in January. And here is some of his stats. As you can see, pretty much ever present for Norwich City in the Premier League. Only missed 4 games, and then of course 2 seasons in the Championship. Only missed 1. Even going back to 1920. So he played regular football for Norwich, which is a. I'll tell you what, jump in there, Matt, because that's a big thing, and that's a big thing that should jump out at anybody looking at this. He's been pretty much ever present in a side for so long. He's come here and then just hasn't got the game time.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. Obviously, he's got the likes of Smithy, who's obviously a big legend now at the club, and he's obviously established right back who's experienced. So, obviously he's got him to dislodge from his position. I mean, you look back at the Norwich days, and he did break into the side quite at a young age. I mean, that 18-19 season where he played 41 games. He kind of really hit the ground running that season, because I remember him kind of making a real impact for Norwich that year. Yeah, they were promoted as well. And I think it was around that time where they were talking some real big figures for him in terms of valuation.
Yes.
It's not been easy for him at Bournemouth. I mean, from my perspective, I see him as the long-term successor to Smithy personally. I know we've brought in Arehu. Is that how you pronounce it?
Areho. Yeah.
Obviously, unfortunately, he's injured at the minute.
Yeah.
So to be linked with another right back in the likes of Jojo Kenny, is that paper talk, or is there something within this where Max may be moving out? Personally, the whole loan to buy deal.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was Max, I'd want to be playing. Max needs to be playing. He wants to be playing regular. I mean, the amount of game time he's had this season for a player of his quality, is very unfortunate. So would I be against a loan move? No, I wouldn't, because it would give him the game time, get some games under his belt for this season. But obviously, we do have the injury problem. If we had both right backs fit, then I could see us letting him out. But and he would suit Middlesbrough to a T, I've got to say, the way Carrick plays as well. And I do like watching Middlesbrough when I do manage to get to watch some Championship on the telly. They're a good, exciting side, and they're attacking fullbacks. Max is absolutely to the T fit for that. I personally would like to see Max, staying with us. So is this a case that, are we looking at cashing in? I personally think, we need to. I personally think the Kenny thing is a bit of talk. Personally, but at the same time, Max does need some game time. So is it a case that, I mean, I can't remember how long Arehu's out for.
quite some time. I think. I think
Is he?
he's out. Yeah, I think
So,
he's out for
yeah,
quite some.
it's an interesting one to be linked with. I didn't see that one coming, to be honest.
Yeah, and
Um,
I'll be honest,
I,
I don't like the sound of it. I
I
really
don't know
don't.
if I don't know if I think he's whether he's right for us or whether he's an
No.
Iriola kind of player. It'd obviously be interesting to
Mm,
see. But for me, in terms of Max Aarons, yeah, I mean it's a difficult one. Again, another great player,
yeah.
one that I'm very fond of. I really do rate Aarons. I like him. I can see him being the long term successor to Smithy. But at the same time, it does need game time. Now, basically, if we had all three fit right backs, I would be
Mm,
saying, yeah, let's get the kiddie out on loan.
yeah.
Let's let him have half a season out on loan. Let's get some games. The Championship Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. The way it is. And let him get out and get some game time. But with only having those two lads that are fit at the moment, I don't know. I don't think I would bring in someone else personally. Yeah, for me, I think I could see him going to Celtic. Jojo
Yeah.
Kenny, John Joe Kenny, is it Jojo John Joe?
John Joe
I can see
Kennedy.
him. I
Yeah.
can see him going to Celtic. I mean, he's been there before, hasn't
Yeah.
he? On loan. I can see him going there, but I think for me personally, Max is someone I would definitely want to keep as part of this squad long term.
There's a reason why Everton didn't keep hold of him. So I don't like the
I
idea
think
of just John Joe
did he
Kenny.
did he not run his contract down and go?
I think he did, but Everton would have fought for him, surely. Surely, being a Liverpool man as well, you know.
I
So
mean, the
obviously,
other thing, the other way of looking, sorry, the other way, sorry, I
yeah,
didn't mean to interrupt you, but the other way of looking at it as well, the club are looking for some money, they're looking to cash in. So as
mm,
soon as, clubs look at cashing in on players, they start linking all sorts of different clubs to them, don't they? So
yeah,
is this a case that it's just, a Bournemouth just being linked because they know they got a bit of money, he's the kind of player that could possibly, go to this club, I mean, he's not going to be signed by Man United, is he?
no,
Or,
no,
Arsenal or Chelsea or no offense to the player, but I don't think he's going to get linked with those kind of names. So then they look at names like, well, who's got some money in the Premier League that can possibly, and I mean, his valuation was it 2.5 million, something like that.
yeah.
I can't see it. I don't think.
No, I can't see that. I can see Max Aarons going on loan. I don't want to sell him because I agree with you. I think he's the future. I really like Max Aarons. I like, the way he plays. I think he's been a little bit unlucky, probably not got into the system quickly enough for Iriola. However, I think that there's a good player in there that we maybe need to mould. So maybe he needs game time. He needs game time, and sending him to Middlesbrough, a team that are challenging at the top of the championship, is a very good move for both Middlesbrough and for Bournemouth. And, I wouldn't be against that, but I'd want him to stay as a Bournemouth player to then hopefully make that step up with ourselves when Smithy, because unfortunately, Smithy's legs are going to go eventually. He is getting older and older. He's doing very well.
Yeah, I was going to say he's still got it in him, Smithy.
Yeah,
And, you do think Aaron's is the perfect successor, don't you,
yeah.
to his role and.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. Be interesting. Well, I just can't see the link. I just can't see, I think, happening. But like we were
yeah.
saying earlier, with the Kepa situation, this is now the season that it's that time of year where people start linking people with all sorts of clubs and get the old juices going again, ready for the transfer window. So
Oh yeah, to be honest, there's a lot of stuff as well that comes out. I think made up by agents, and I tell you what, it all is. I tell you, it is all
Bullshit.
mm,
had to put that in. Had to put that in. Let's talk about one final player as well. And is it time
ah,
for the
yeah,
Cherries to cash in on Hamed Traore? So I'll just quickly go through this. So, of course, he's at Auxerre at the moment. Hamed Traore initially joined AFC Bournemouth on loan in January 2023 and made his stay permanent later that year. The attacking midfielder struggled in the first half of last season, and the Cherries sent him out on loan to Napoli in the winter of 2024 market. His situation didn't improve at the Serie A side, and he returned to Bournemouth in the summer. And Doni Iriola left the 24-year-old out of his core plans for this season, and Bournemouth sent him out on loan to AJ at Auxerre, of course, in France, in August. He's impressed for the League One side, scoring 6 goals and registering an assist from 12 league games. His excellent performances for Auxerre this season have caught AS Monaco's attention. That's according to Sky Italia journalist Manuel Bianchini, relayed by Area Napoli. He claims Monaco have already made contact with the Ivory Coast International and also their League One counterparts. Hang on a second, you have to approach ourselves, Monaco, I believe. So I don't know if there's something in there that's a bit funny. Auxerre don't have an option or obligation to make his stay permanent, and therefore Monaco can negotiate a deal with Bournemouth. At this point in time, Monaco haven't made their advances in their negotiations for Traore, who has a contract with the Premier League side until 2028. Bianchini says Monaco will have to decide whether to present an offer in January or wait for the Bournemouth man until next summer. So where do the Cherries go with this sale or retain? It's a massive, massive, massive question. I've got my own theories on it. I'll let you have a go first, Matt. What do you reckon?
Yeah, when he first come into the club, I thought obviously he was, a real exciting player.
Yeah.
I think, and a good player, quality player doesn't become a bad player overnight.
No.
I think it might be a case that maybe where he hasn't settled here, he might not, he's obviously not been part of Iriola's plans a lot since Iriola's come in. So I think maybe, it might be best for his career, maybe that, he moves on. Obviously, the club will obviously ultimately make that decision. I know there seems to be, I don't know whether it's dodgy going on there by someone approaching someone who's not even approaching who's, the club whose player it is. But
yeah,
he's obviously creating interest. Can't see him going in January. I think he's got a season loan at
Auxerre, yeah.
there. The deal may be done in January, but I'd imagine he'll complete his loan deal there. But I think his future will probably be decided next summer. But not surprised that he's creating some interest. Like I say, he's a decent player. But look at the competition he's got in the squad now. You've got players like Clivert who've come in and now established. Semenyo. We can go on with players that can kind of play in his position. And then he can play out wide as well. You look at your wide men.
Yeah.
So he's got a big competition here, and Iriola's squad, dare I say it, is settled.
Yeah.
Okay, take the injuries away, and when everyone's fit, we've got a settled squad. Does he come back to Bournemouth and try and compete and to get his place? Tricky one. To dislodge players that have established themselves in these roles now. So yeah, I think long term, I think we will see him move on. I just hope he continues to have a good season. And does well. Because like I say, he's a good player. And I was really excited by him when he come in. But I think maybe long term, I think unless we have to, unless we lose some players ourselves, which hopefully we don't, because obviously everyone's playing well, and we're in a good position. I don't think I can see him breaking into our side as it stands, to be honest.
I think he's probably better off moving on. I think he showed some flashes of brilliance when he was in that loan spell. He hasn't really continued them. His consistency is an issue. And you know what? I wonder, because of course he didn't find it easy in Italy either. I think language barrier might be an issue for him. And sometimes, of course, Ivory, he's not from France either, but, at the same time, of course, in Ivory Coast and France, they both speak French, and sometimes it's very, very difficult to acclimatise, to a country that doesn't speak the same language, or you haven't got the ability. I think he can speak okay English, but I think, that might be where he's struggling. So, yeah, I think it's probably time for him to run on. To leave the club, and wish him all the very, very best. But yeah, the fact that he was left out of the initial squads, I think, says it all. I think it's probably game over for Hamed Traore here. But hopefully he has a really good career in France, and I think that's maybe where he's best suited.
Time will tell.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you what, let's just quickly wrap up on Guess the Cherry. So I'll just quickly run through the clues again. So he was born in Vanvers. Not Vanvers. Oh, that was the place. Port de Vanvers. Vannes. Vannes is very romantic sounding, isn't it? In France in 1981. He joined the Cherries from Leicester City. He scored 27 times in 69 Bournemouth appearances. Scored a hat-trick when the Cherries beat Doncaster 5-0, was included in the Brittany national football squad, and scored against Mali after coming off the bench in the 69th minute in 2013. Who is he? I think I know.
Well, he is Jan
Kermagant. There we are. Yeah, that's just who I was thinking. And yeah, very, very, very nice man, Jan is. It's surprising he's not stayed in football really, has he? But
no, I don't think he has. But yeah, he was one of my cult heroes when I did a feature for the program, when the fans could do, a cult hero page each week, and he was a cult hero of mine, along the likes of like Klaus Jorgensen. I went for some different ones than what some people may pick, but yeah, a cult hero of mine. I loved his time at the club, and yeah, shame he didn't really get a bit more of a bite of the cherry in the Premier League, as they say. But
bite of the cherry.
but yeah, no, a player that I'm always fond to look back at.
Fair enough. Yeah, likewise. And he was brilliant. He's brilliant in his time here. So, like I say, really, really nice chap as well. I think that's all we've got time for on this week's episode of Cherry Picking. Fingers crossed for 3 more points against West Ham. If you've enjoyed the show, hit the like, subscribe, the bell button. If you want to join the club as well, there is a subscribe button. And if you do want to get involved, just drop us an email. It is in the description box below. Until the next one, thank you from me. Thank you from Matt. We'll see you in the next Cherry Picking.
Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.